these are examples of principle, examples of bravery, and examples of courage. And you will find this not only specific to the Muslims, but you will find this even with the non-Muslims. Honestly, when I come to London and I go, like, to past the Parliament Square, I remember Brian Hall, the man who died just, I think, last year, right? The man who camped outside Parliament Square for 10 years, right? Not like 10 days, not 10 weeks and then that's a big thing, or 10 months. But almost 9 years and something, almost 10 years. Who wasn't a Muslim, but he, out of principle, because of his belief that the war in Iraq is killing Muslims, essentially human beings, and there are orphans and widows and killing and all of this, out of protest, that's it. Just you wanted to get in camp outside Parliament Square, and he did that for 10 years. He lost his marriage broke. His family separated from him. He made all those sacrifices simply because of that. He wasn't a Muslim, but at least you could admire the spirit of his resistance. You can at least admire the spirit of his resistance and courage at that moment in time. Just in February was the anniversary of the killing, or in March. It was in March, I think, March the 16th, the anniversary of the killing of Rachel Corrie. She wasn't a Muslim, she was an American girl, how old? 19 or 20 or something. And she traveled from America to Palestine because she saw injustice. That's it. Woman. That the Israelis are destroying the homes of the Muslims, snatching their land. They snatched it in the beginning anyway. Stole the land of the Muslimin. And they're taking land and they're destroying homes. And she just went, she's not a Muslim, but you could at least admire the spirit of courage and resistance in that human being. She went there from America, all the way there, stood outside the home of a Muslim who was a pharmacist, and they were about to destroy his home, and they destroyed her with the home. And she lost her life. For what? On February 22nd was the anniversary of the execution of Sophie Scholl. Utterly remarkable one, who lost her life in 1943. She was a woman called the woman who defied Hitler. Now think about this, and in a country where people on the whole are passive, on the whole they're just passive, and they're going along with the status quo, all the active participants in Nazism, in social nationalism, or being nationalist, socialist, and their SS guards, or with the SA. Sophie Scholl was a woman who was like 21 years old, or maybe slightly younger. And she was part of a resistance movement called the White Rose. And all they would do was write leaflets, and they wrote about 7 leaflets in total. Herself, her brother Hans Scholl, their friend Willie Graf, the other friend Christopher Brooks, 5 or 6 or 7 of them, that's it. And other participants who were not the main body, but they were just helpers. And they would post these leaflets throughout the streets of Germany and the major cities of Germany in the night, in the cover of the night, and they would buy envelopes and stamps en masse, and they would print them, and they would distribute them. On one particular day in February, they went to Munich University, and they were putting some of these leaflets at the pillars in the university, and they were on the atrium, and a stack of leaflets was on the atrium, and just out of complete impulse, he decides to pushes them off. They come scattered down at the same time the bell rang, and when all the kids came out of their classes and the teachers came out, and these two were coming down the stairs, Hans Scholl and Sophie Scholl, and she was executed within a few days under the guillotine. Because of what? Because she defied Hitler? Because she realized what he's doing is wrong? That Germany will be invaded immediately by Russia, that he's killing innocent people, killing mentally handicapped, the Jews, the gypsies. And she felt that. She was not a Muslim, she was a Christian, but she simply felt that. right? There are now more than 190 schools in Germany named in memory of Sophie Scholl. You see how history reverses itself. You see how history records defeat. All of those who are bystanders, they're just rubbish, pathetic. Nobody records them. Those who simply be quiet and do nothing are forgotten. Nobody remembers them. Rubbish. Pathetic. They're just nobodies. But you see a woman like Sophie Scholl, who was once reviled by her government, called a traitor, reviled by them. She's a traitor, she's treacherous, enemy of the state. But now, today in Germany, more than 190 schools are named after Sophie Scholl. Her old school, Ulm Gymnasium, is now named Hans and Sophie Scholl Gymnasium. And the motto of that school is, "We will never stand for injustice." And that's how history reverses itself.